Here's how the United States became a corn powerhouse.
Corn powerhouse. American military powerhouse. Corn also powerhouse. America is all over the place when it comes to number one, my friends. I have to ask one thing. Someone told me the other day that if I visit the Midwest, I can drive hours and hours just seeing cornfields. Is this true, my friends? Oh, that's so amazing to me. But please tell me in the comments if that's true or not, or if the person ended up, exaggerating a bit. Why the US government is still obsessed with corn. My friends, I have to be honest, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I know Americans tend to love some corn. Before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
The US has just about 90 million acres of this viral kid's absolute favorite food.
Cone.
What do you like about corn?
It's cold.
Oh,
There's
so
a reason
cute.
people call it yellow gold. 2021's corn crop was worth over $86 billion.
Holy.
According to the USDA, the U.S. is the largest consumer, producer, and exporter of corn in the world.
What in the world? Wait. Let's run it a bit back.
The largest consumer, producer, and exporter of corn in the
Holy,
world.
that's
I mean,
impressive.
look at this chart of US grain crops. And that's because
We're really good at it. And that's why you see big acres.
Sorry, I love that, my friends. Americans are so proud, but they have good reason to be. Why are we number one? Because we are the best. That's the reason. Yeah, that's the reason.
Big demand, export competitiveness. We're good at it.
it's not just what we eat,
believe it.
it's in what we buy.
Huh?
And
do
how
you
we
mean?
fuel up.
We've kind of turbocharged the value of corn through the application of science.
Corn is just getting more and more useful, which is causing not just the US economy to rely on this grain, but also the
More useful. For what?
rest of the world. At $2.2 billion in 2019, corn is the most heavily subsidized of all.
Do we get the corn acres because we've got the support, or do we have the support because we have the corn acres?
Here's how the United States became a corn powerhouse.
Corn powerhouse. American military powerhouse. Corn also powerhouse. America is all over the place when it comes to number one, my friends.
There's sweet corn at barbecues or even your popcorn.
And then there's
Oh, yeah.
this corn. This corn is the
Field corn,
majority
right?
of what's grown in the U.S.
Field corn
I
is
knew it.
99% of what you see when you drive down the road. The other one,
How much? How much? Sorry?
In the U.S.
field corn is 99% of what you see when you drive down the road. The other 1% is sweet corn or edible corn.
Holy.
Corn is certainly used in many, many more ways than it was, say, in the 1950s and 60s.
Like what?
A lot of the corn that's grown in the U.S. and traditionally was grown in the U.S. to be fed to livestock.
Animal feed accounts for about 40% of
Makes
total
sense.
domestic corn use. So even if you're not eating corn directly, it's being fed to the meat that Americans consume.
Very
Corn
true.
is milled by either a wet or dry process. So it's transformed into syrups and starches that also end up as ingredients in other processed foods people eat every day. Think high fructose corn syrup, corn oil, cereal, corn flour, corn grits, cornmeal, and much more.
A lot of corn is now going into biofuel production, specifically ethanol.
Just about every gallon of gasoline in the US contains up to 10% ethanol. Doing the math,
Oh my god, corn is also making... Oh wow! My friends, that I was not aware at all. Man, corn is running the economy in America. It's basically like oil. Corn actually can make oil. But you guys got my point, right? Man, my Midwest people should be very proud because I know in the Midwest is where the most cornfields are, right, my friends? Man, but this seems super, super important.
in 2019, ethanol contributed more than $43 billion to the US GDP.
Holy
And
sweet
it added
potato.
$23.3 billion to household income. All of this created over $10 billion in tax revenue that year.
These demands
have kind of grown along with our really productive corn crops in the United States.
The U.S. wasn't always a corn superpower, which it is.
Sorry, I love that. Corn superpower. I really love that, my friends.
We have...
Actually, before we continue with this, let me say one thing. I've been reacting to more informative videos, let's say, about America, and you guys have been showing such great support that I want to say thank you. But never forget to leave a like. If you did not left a like on this one, leave it now, because that way I assume you guys don't mind different videos from time to time.
Of the soils and climate on a wide scale, particularly in the U.S. Midwest.
A lot of this corn is grown here,
Corn
which
belt.
is why it's called the Corn Belt.
Oh, wow.
So I'm Seth Meyer. I'm USDA's chief economist. I'm an Iowan, if that helps with my authority on corn.
Okay.
U.S. producer.
Sorry, well, friends, I have to ask one thing. Someone told me the other day that if I visit the Midwest, I can drive hours and hours just seeing cornfields. Is this true, my friends? Oh, that's so amazing to me. But please tell me in the comments if that's true or not, or if the person ended up, exaggerating a bit. Because driving hours and hours just seeing cornfields, that's amazing.
Just continue to show an upward trend of how many bushels they can get per acre.
There was a
Wait, stupid question actually. So, you cannot put the field corn in the fire and eat. It needs to be sweet corn. I don't know a lot about corn, as you can tell probably, but I thought this one was also good.
Revolution in corn production after World War II.
As a weapon for our defense.
We can thank science and the private sector's plant breeding and genetics investments.
Filled with corn.
The machines, right?
The overall number of farms growing feed grains like corn is declining, but the acreage dedicated to growing corn on those farms is growing.
At the same time, the amount of large corn farms has increased over time, outnumbering the amount of small corn farms in operation.
This is all to say that
Basically, big business is taking control of this. Makes kind of sense. It's such an important business in America.
corn is big business, really big business, thanks to advances in seeds, fertilizers, and production practices.
These charts show how much corn crops in the U.S. are now producing. So even with more land dedicated to corn, the plant itself is yielding more of a harvest. And these charts show that the more corn the U.S. produces, the more valuable it gets. And that's just because supply is following demand, and demand is growing, not just from fuel and food in the U.S. The U.S. also exports a ton of corn.
The world also uses corn as a feed grain, and so we...
So I would love, let's run it back, but I would love if they share with us the percentage of how much America exports. But I was kind of joking at the beginning, not really to be fair, but now this is becoming more serious. This is really big business, and this could be one of the biggest business in the world. Am I overreacting on this? But it seems like corn is everywhere.
Exports a ton of corn.
The world also uses corn as a feed grain, and so we export to many countries.
Every year, an average of 15% of U.S. produced corn is exported,
15%,
and that includes value-added products like ethanol.
Overall, corn production has increased. So U.S. was the major exporter of wheat for many, many years. Wheat production has fallen off, largely because corn and soybeans are far more profitable to grow for farmers.
Farmers have to consider...
So, sorry for this random pause. Two things, actually. Go to my Instagram. I've been putting there some country music reactions. I know I have nothing to do with the video, but you may like my country music reactions. So link below for my Instagram. André, I don't have Instagram. No worries. There is a Facebook account. The other thing I wanted to ask, and this is more related with the video. I saw that this channel, CNBC, also have a video talking about soybeans. I believe that's also big business in America. And it should be a similar video to this one. Should I watch that? You know what? We are at 5 minutes into this video. Leave me the number 5 if I should watch that. Because it could be really interesting. I don't know a lot about soybeans.
A lot of different variables when it comes to what might impact their crops.
Is this year a better year to plant more corn or soybeans? What's going to be the impact of higher nitrogen prices? What about these new conservation programs in the new Farm Bill. What about carbon markets?
Ooh, okay. I was about to talk about climate change because this type of business, they probably need to be careful and get super affected.
They live in somewhat of an environment of uncertainty. So producers are constantly looking at, what's my risks? What do I think prices will be?
Corn is too important for farmers, the US economy, and world hunger to be left entirely to chance. So the government ensures the value through subsidies.
Okay,
But corn
I get
is
it.
the primary beneficiary of the crop insurance program. There are subsidies for insurance. So crop insurance typically account for about 4 to 5% of the value of corn production.
It's more designed to be a safety net that says, okay, this isn't going to save you if you consistently have high costs or consistently are less productive. This isn't going to save you, but it will help you if there's a big adverse event.
For example, the 2022 October forecast
So, but this is good, right, my friends? I mean, I know in America people tend to not like, at least is what I feel when I talk with you, to be honest, that when the government interferes in something, Americans tend to not be very happy with that. But I think here we can agree this is a good thing, right?
for U.S. feed grain production, which is dominated by corn, is down 1 million tons due to summer drought conditions across the center of the country.
The programs started as a response to the depths of the Great Depression.
Subsidies will cost the nation nearly $1 billion in
where literally people were starving. Particularly after World War II, there was a great debate, well, we're not in the Great Depression anymore. Can't we just get rid of these programs? And that's kind of been the theme ever since.
There's two dominant avenues for subsidies: crop insurance and income support programs.
Essentially, farmers have a choice to take one or the other, and they're both income programs that one's triggered on prices. So if prices go below a certain level, then they're eligible for a payment on those historical acres that they are based on what you historically grew, not what you currently grow. So you can grow soybeans but still receive a corn payment. That's something called the Price Loss Coverage Program, or PLC. And then the other one is the agricultural risk coverage, and that's based on revenue. So if the calculated revenue this year for your farm is less than the guarantee that's provided by the program, you'll get a payment. Over the last 5 years, the average payment was roughly $13 per acre. And in many years they were zero. Like this current year, there's no money going to corn producers because prices are so high and revenues are so high, they're not triggering payments.
According to the
Okay, this was very well explained actually. Even for a person like me that English is not my main language, I'm understanding the business quite well now.
Congressional Budget Office, the federal crop insurance program's net spending will increase to nearly $40 billion from 2021 through 2025. At the same time, farmland values have reached all-time record highs. This isn't to say that farmland's
values hit record highs, pricing out farmers. Oh, so basically if you are trying to enter the business, this is not good at all because the land will be super, super expensive. In the other hand, if you are already in the business, you become even richer, right? Because your land... it's kind of the logic that the rich get richer, right? But, makes sense. This is a big business nowadays. Of course, the land now is very valuable, and maybe in the past it wasn't.
values are reaching these highs because of increased subsidies. This is correlation, not causation.
The value of that land is intimately connected to the value of corn.
A lot of these subsidies, they do get embedded into the cost of farmland, essentially bid up the price of farmland marginally.
Sorry, my friend, am I crazy or this looks beautiful? The Midwest overall, I know, André, this is a random pause. I know, my friends, but I'm gonna say it. Beautiful America strikes again. Even in the cornfields, I think it looks so nice.
And so the benefits accrue largely to those who own land, and we'll probably see farmland's value inflated just a little bit because of these subsidies. Price of land is so expensive, it's very hard to be a new farmer. when, land is going for $15,000 an acre.
While these insurance programs provide key financial safety for farmers, Congress may revisit how to improve these policies and programs to make them more efficient and equitable. If subsidies are baked into the cost of the land, removing that money from the equation could throw off the debt-to-asset ratio of some farms.
Farmland values that are connected to the programs, but it's the debt obligations that have been incurred based on the expectation that assets will be supported by the farm programs. Right now, I don't think it would happen, but you can make an argument that if you made the sector go cold turkey, you would certainly raise the specter of a financial crisis because asset values would fall, debt obligations don't change.
Just like the average U.S. consumer, inflation is a top concern for farmers.
In combating changing
I think inflation is a really big problem for everyone, my friends. I know in America, I was actually watching some news the other day that inflation is still quite high. In Europe, my friends, it was crazy at one point. I feel like it's quite more stable now. But man, in America, the economy could be doing a bit better. I feel like, even though you guys are still the number one economy in the world, but things probably need some adjustment at least.
climates while rethinking how some subsidies are utilized is a big factor when considering how to move forward.
Temperature changes and climate changes, we're going to need to have adaptation.
There are possibilities to take subsidies and repurpose them in more directed, targeted ways to reduce nitrogen runoff or to address certain climate issues and things like that. There's a report called the $1 Billion Opportunity, which looked at removal of subsidies and what effects they would have.
Out of the worldwide, nearly $540 billion spent a year on agricultural support, the report found that at least 87% of that money supports measures that are often inefficient, inequitable, distort food prices, hurt people's health, and degrade the environment. However, the report found if those subsidies were removed altogether,
the effects were pretty small. And that's not saying that that's not a good reason to get rid of subsidies, because I think if you look at some of the impacts on, say, on greenhouse gas emissions for things like livestock production, they had a pretty big impact.
So repurposing the programs, rather than getting rid of support altogether, could be more effective, according to the United Nations Environment Program.
Say, how do we kind of...
Honestly, at this point, I'm a bit lost, my friends. Okay, maybe they should remove it, actually. I thought the idea was really good, because if you have a bad year, at least there is some compensation or something, right?
Put some stability or the safety net under this program, and how do we do it in a sustainable way? So I think that that's going to be the challenges going forward, and it's in the middle of an environment where lots of folks are concerned about climate.
And then the other big issue is, how do you do it in a way that ensures that there's compliance?
The report outlines 6 steps for rethinking and repurposing subsidies. Estimate the existing support, figure out the impact of that support, design a new approach based on needed reforms, estimate the future impact of a new repurposing strategy, review and refine the strategy before it's implemented, monitor the outcomes of the new agricultural producer support.
The administration right now is pushing a lot of so-called climate-smart agricultural practices. But the trick is, how do you do it in a way that you achieve true additionality? That is, you really do reduce carbon, and you aren't just rewarding farmers for things they might do anyway.
I don't know, my friends. Why did Americans stop eating Kellogg's cereal? What? You guys don't eat Kellogg's anymore? Kellogg's is so popular here, my friends. Should I watch that one? But basically, at the end, I feel like this debate could be around climate change and tends to be a controversial topic. I have my own perspective on this, but I'm also, I'm no expert by any means. But feel free to tell me your opinion, my friend, because I think this is a big business right now in America, in the world, right? So the future of this business can impact all of us, not just Americans, to be fair, because, Yeah, thank you so much for watching this with me. Really means a lot. Do not forget to leave number, I said 5, right? If you want me to watch the soybean video. Yeah, see you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.